Good morning friends, myself Professor Tawalchand Darana, and today we will discuss some remaining points of unit number 3 known as a relational query language. Today we will discuss two different points which are the last 2 points of unit number 3. First we will discuss it's known as a DDL and DML construct, and the last point it is known as a open source and commercial database management softwares. So today's lectures is focused on DDL and DML construct, and there are the lots of software which should be part of data management system with help of two different applications known as a MySQL and Oracle. There are the 4 different applications, but today we will discuss 2 applications of database management system. Remaining 2 we will discuss in our next lecture. So friends, let's start with the DDL. What is data definition language? First we know that what is DDL. A DDL stands for data definition language. Actually consists of the SQL command that can be used to define the database schema. It is a simple deal with descriptions of the database schema, and it is used to create and modify the structures of database object in a database. So as per the definition says that when we require to modify a structures of database, what are the different structures known as? A structure means a actual logical database known as a schema. Structure means we want to change a particular data type of a particular attributes, or we can say column. If you want to change a particular table name, if you want to change a particular database name, then it's all the part of a database structures. Then if you want to change a particular column name, it is also known as a database structures. So when we require to change, or we can say modified structures of database object, at that time we are using a data definition language. First start with the example of DDL command known as a create. There are the lots of commands is part of a data definition language. We will see with the different command it is part of a DDL. Start with the create. It is used to create the database or its objects like a table, index, functions, view, store procedure and triggers. All the functionality we will see in our unit number 8. So we just discuss what is the create command and what are the different uses of create command. So as per the definition, when we require to create a database or object like a table, index, functions, view, store procedure and trigger, at that time we are using a create command. Second thing, it is known as a drop. Drop, it is also a part of data definition language, because whenever we want to change a structures of database, it is a part of a DDL command. So where we use a drop command, it is used to delete an object from the database. Now I think you know that what is the object, because previous we are seen what are the different object in a database. Third one, it is also important command known as alter. It is used to alter the structures of database. What are the different structures are available in database, we will discuss previously. Next one, it is known as a truncate. It is used to remove all the records from a table, including all the space allocated for the records are removed. Please student, be focused. Dropped and truncate both are the different functionality of database management system. When you want to remove a complete structures of a database or a complete structures of a particular object like a table, index, function or the different things, at that time we are using a drop command. But when we remove only the records of the particular structures, like say if we want to remove all the records of table but the table structure is still remaining, means we are using a table structure at the later of time, we just removing the particular records, at that time truncate is used. So when we are using a drop command, structures is completely deleted, so we are not reuse these particular structures. But whenever we used a truncate command, a structure is work as it is, structure is stored in a database as it is, so we are reusing these particular structures and store our latest information. We are just removing a particular records or a sets of records with help of a truncate command. Next one, it is known as a comment. It is used to add a comments to a data dictionary, because whenever we are using so many database table in a single project, at that time identifications of a particular table with help of command, it is a mandatory things. So it is to find a better way to identify a particular table is used for the particular functionality. So at that time a user provide a comment, so we can easily get the particular records with the help of a comment. Next and last one, it is known as a rename command, is used to rename an object existing in the database, because rename is used only when the particular object is available in a particular database. So what are the different objects? Whenever we provide objects known as a table, index, functions, views, store procedure and triggers, so all the command is performed on a particular object as well as a particular table, and all the command, it is part of known as a data definition language. I will repeat it. All the command with help of example we will study in unit number 8. Now you just focus on it. What are the different command? It is part of data definition language. Second constraint, it is known as a DML. DML stands for data manipulation language. Where we are using a DML command, the SQL command that deal with the manipulations of data present in the database belongs to DML or a data manipulation language, and this include most of the SQL statement. Means there are the statement where we are using in DML command. Let's see, insert, it is used to insert a data in a particular table. Update is used to updating a data within a tables. Means what are the data or what are the tuples which are available existingly in a particular table. If user want to modify a particular table, particular rows, particular a column, at that time we are using the update commands. Delete, it is used to delete a record from a database table. Previously in DDL we are find out there are the two different commands with the two different functionality known as a truncate and drop. Currently we are seeing a delete command, it is a part of DML. So where we are using a delete command, if user want to delete a particular records or a sets of records of a particular table, or we can say existing sets of records, at that time delete command will used. Now we see that what is the difference between a DDL and DML. Let's see. In DDL it stands for data definition language, and DML it stands for data manipulation language. Where we are using a DDL, now I think you are clear, it is used to create a database schema and can be used to define some constraint as well. Constraint means a primary key, foreign key, not null. All the constraint we will study in our previous lecture. If you have doubt, please go my previous lectures about the different constraint. So you can easily find that what are the requirement of constraint and how we put a different concept with a particular table. DML command is used to add, retrieve or update the particular data. So we can easily differentiate when we change a particular structures of table, at that time we are using a DDL. If we want to insert or update a particular tuples, or we can say record, at that time we are using a DML command. In DDL, it is a basically define the column attribute, or we can say attributes of a table. In DML, it's add or update the row, or we can say tuple of the tables. These rows are called as tuple. DDL, it is doesn't have any further classification. In DDL there are the single stands, there are no different classification in DDL. In DML it is a further classification into the procedure and non-procedure DML. We are studying in unit number 8. What are the different DDL command? As we previously says, or previously gone through this, create, drop, rename, alter, all are the part of a DDL command. And what are the different command? It is known as update, insert, merge, etc. So I hope you are clear what is a DDL, what is DML, what is the actual use of DDL and DML, what are the different command which we are performing on a database, and what are the difference between DDL and DML. Now we see a second point of today's lecture. It is known as open source and commercial database management system. In this particular topic, we will discuss what is the actual difference between a open source and commercial applications. Because first we want to know that what is the difference between open source and commercials. Then we are going to the different available softwares which are part of open source and which are the different part of a commercial softwares which perform on a data management system applications. So let's see what is the actual difference between open source and commercial database management system software. The database software is the distributions under an open source licensing model that often various in a restrictions according to the product and vendors. Means if some of the software of database management system, it is part of a open source licensing, but there are some limitations of a particular product. It is defined by the particular company which can be built or which can be produce a particular applications. What is the difference between commercial and open source? Please student, be focused, because it is the generalized concept which we know the IT people's actually concept about what is the difference between a commercials and open source. So see, as per the figure says, on the left hand side open source functionality will be displayed, and on the right hand side there are the commercials functionality will be displayed. As per figure says, a source code in open source, we can easily see all the source code in part of open source application system. In a commercials, the commercial software will never display a particular code, or we can say a source of code. Second thing, in a open source, development may be based on a users. If user have some new idea, they can easily modify a particular open source applications. So it is based on user sides as well. We can say as it is completely based on end users functionality. If some users want to change, modified, add or new functionality which can be identified with the existing code, they can easily update in open source. But in a commercials, they have a particular organizations we can develop and produce in the market. They never allowed end users to any kind of change in a particular commercial versions. Security, I think as per the development, you can easily identify that if development perform on end size, there are the less security, or we can say less secure software compared with who can develop only the organizations, they provide a more security. Because if someone change end users source code, if have their rights to change a code, so security is less compared to the commercials one. Second thing, open source, it is a freely available, so we can say it is a less secure compared to the commercials one. And cost, you can easily says that open source is a freely available because it's known as a open source, so costing is less compared to the commercials one, because commercials is only and only with use of a licensing, so it should be cost more. So I hope a figure is completely justifies what is the actual difference between open source and a commercial version. Now we see the different softwares with help of open source and commercials applications which is only producing with based on a data management system software. Let's see with the MySQL. MySQL is an open source relational data management system software, or we can say a MySQL, it is based on RDBMS applications, but one of the advantage, it is the open source. Its name is the combinations of my, the name of co-founder Michel Vendier's daughter, and SQL, the abbreviations for a structured query language. So MySQL is the combine of two different words known as my and SQL. My is a co-founder's daughter name, and SQL it is known as a structured query language. It is some basic information about the MySQL. MySQL is a free and open source software under the terms of GNU General Public Licenses, and it's also available under a variety of priorities and licensing, because a open source software is always provide some platform to the end users. If they have any new idea, they can easily implement it with a particular existing applications. And the last one, a MySQL is a component of LAMP, web application software, stacked and other, which an acronyms for L stand for Linux, A stand for Apache, M stand for MySQL, and P stand for if you are working with the Perl, or we can say PHP, or if you are using a Python. In all the three platforms, they require some backend database. So a LAMP is one of the applications that provide your local system work as a server. So it is the basic introduction about a MySQL. In this today's lecture, we will go through the two different platforms. First one with MySQL, second one is Oracle. So what are the actual symbols, how we can identify a MySQL software? So I will just give a actual logo of MySQL. So it is known as a MySQL logo. Now we go through the MySQL functionality, or we can say features. Because it is the open source, so we just identify what are the different features will be provided by the MySQL. First, it is open source, that's why we can say it is the lowest total cost of ownership. Second, it is the high availability and scalability, means whenever user want to any kind of requirement from the end user side, they have a particular supports, and if they are using a particular software, they are getting 100% availability and scalability, means they can change a particular application with help of accessibility. Third, it's provide a good support to SQL transactions, means whenever we require to implement a backend as a SQL, it is provide a 100% complete requirement of end user with help of MySQL software. Fourth, it is provide a data warehouse and web data supports, means if your data should be a more numbers of records, at that time also MySQL software is really useful. Fifth one, good support to application development. Whenever we implemented our website, or we can say web-based application, I thoroughly go through this. MySQL software is one of the best software to implemented applications development. Whenever we require to store a data with help of web applications, at that time we are using MySQL software as a backend software applications. 6. MySQL is an open source software, we know that, but a open source software getting a 24/7 supports, because it is the most important thing that if you want to justify it, or if you want to satisfy your customer, your support must be required whenever they want. So it is a open source 24/7 supports. 7. Optimize the storage management. It is also useful thing whenever we use a data warehouse, because there are the lots of records, it should be part of a particular database table. So optimization of storage, it is must be required, because we are storing a lots of data in a particular table. Storage security and compliance. As per figure says, if a particular software is an open source software, there are security provided by the particular organization who can build the product, but it is less compared with the commercial one, but they are never compromise a security in open source software also. So it is one of the features, that storage security and compliances. So there are the different features, it is part of MySQL software. I hope you are clear all one. You just remember the particular features and write down if a question should be asked from the MySQL functionality. Now second applications which can be helped to manage a particular database, it is known as Oracle. Oracle, a database, is the first commercial data management system product designed for the enterprise applications. So we can easily say that Oracle is not open source software. It is the first commercial data management system product. So if you want to use Oracle as a backend server, at that time we require a licensing. Means we provide some money and they can provide a particular enterprise applications license. An Oracle database is a relational data management system, same like a SQL or we can say MySQL. The main purpose of Oracle database is to store and retrieve data efficiently, because the actual concept of data management system is user want to store and retrieve a data whenever they want, as frequently without any kind of complications. An Oracle database server is designed to address a multiple information management problem. Means it is perform memory management, storage management, optimizations, and storing and retrieving data in a single instance. So they can manage a multiple information management problem. An Oracle database only allow authorized user to access because it is a commercial version. We see a first line that the Oracle is the commercial software which provide the particular enterprise applications. So if you have a particular license to access a Oracle data, or we can say Oracle application, then you can also access all the functionality of Oracle. So at that time Oracle database require authorization user to access. Oracle also supports efficient solutions for the failure recovery because it is a commercial version. So if you paid something to the company provide a surety against a failures, because it is compulsory required that if customer pays some money, so a company must be provide some surety about a data. If application may be trashed, or we can say particular functionality is not work, or we can say a crash of a particular database, at that all the time a company provide your data with a recovery availabilities. So Oracle have Oracle symbols which you can display in a particular screen. Now we see features of Oracle. Information management, as previously says, it is a multifunctionality management system. So information management means user want to store and retrieve data as per its requirement. Second, it is the application development. In Oracle you can make a application development also. It is also work as a web development as well as a application development. Third, data warehouse and business intelligence tool, because it is the commercial version. So whenever some big giant company want to store a particular data, they can easily access with the Oracle features. Fourth one, data migrations. Data migration means it work on a cross platform. Like if your application work on a Windows system and if you want to convert your Windows based application to the Mac OS, so it's easily migrate with Oracle features. Means if you create your database on a Windows app platform and if you want to convert your database to the Windows to Mac OS, it is easily converted by the data migration. Fifth one, high availability and scalability, means whenever user want to require any kind of supports from the organization side, at that time they 100% provide the surety against its data as well as the support. 6, supports a no SQL standard. It is one of the SQL version which are supported by the Oracle features. 7th, a storage management optimization, because it is mandatory needs to optimize a data with a smaller storage capacity. Means whenever user want to store a more amount of data, at that time they provide a storage management so they can easily store so many data with limited data space. And the last one, it is known as a security and compliance. As previously we says that if any product is a commercial product, they provide high security compared to the open source. So it is Oracle is a part of a commercial application, so they can provide higher security compared to the MySQL, because user pays some money to access a particular database. I hope you are clear what is the actual requirement of a data management system software, and there are the different case with open source as well as a commercial based applications. Thank you so much.